go short or long term with Dak Prescott?
Long term, baby. Yes, sir.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I've been listening to you. That's why. We're going long term.
You're a freaking
You got
idiot.
the head coach, right, Mike McCarthy. You have the quarterback. This is the second situation, I believe, for McCarthy where it's turnkey. When he came the same year you and I got drafted to Green Bay, McCarthy was hired there, and we already had three Hall of Famers, first ballot on the staff with, Woodson, Favre, and Rodgers. This is another situation where it's turnkey. It's all set. They made a change at the head coach position because that's where they felt like they needed to change. If they needed a different quarterback, I felt like they would have kept Jason Garrett and then went and tried to find another quarterback. But Dak Prescott, this situation reminds me of when I was on the Redskins with Kirk Cousins. Same thing, stories out there. He doesn't deserve this. They shouldn't pay him this. He needs to leave. He needs to do what? But he hit the market at the right time. In this case, the Cowboys, they need to get their quarterback. And I feel with Dak, he is the guy. And there's a strong possibility he could be your first $200 million man. Just letting you know right now, Rob.
How can you pay $200 million for a guy who's a middle of the pack, 15th best quarterback in the league? I don't care what the market value is. It's ridiculous.
That's all it is, though. You don't have to care.
No, but I'm just saying.
It goes back to the saying, don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
No, but
if that's his market value, that's what it is.
But this is why the Cowboys are hemming and hawing. If he was that guy, you would lock him up. The Eagles.
The reason why they didn't lock him up is because report says his agent wants like 40.
Yeah.
Why not? You just said he's that guy. Why not? What does it matter?
35. Nobody's got
Why is
40.
40? What's wrong with that? If he's that guy and you're trying to win a Super Bowl?
Russell Wilson got 35, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't give Dak 40
Why?
when Russell Wilson been to 2 Super Bowls.
Chris Broussard was out here telling us about all the games
The whole point
games
is
that he's won over the last 4 years.
The whole point is to lock him up. Regardless, it doesn't matter. You have to give him 45 or 50 or 40. It's just to lock him up, to sign him. So they're in negotiations right now to figure it out. And 35, it looks like the magic number for him.
No, I'm telling you, when you said that with Kirk Cousins, that's the blueprint that they should use. I would put him on a franchise tag for the next 2 years. Let's see what Dak is all about. They were supposed to make the Super Bowl this year. They didn't even make the playoffs. And despite all the numbers, and then despite all the numbers, well, we give the quarterback a lot of credit, right? When he wins Super Bowls, we give him, Tom Brady has 6. We don't say Tom Brady won 1 or 2 and the team won the other 4. That's not how we talk.
Well, you just said earlier Tom Brady had no TDs when they won. Yeah,
He's listening, Rob.
Yeah, he had 500 yards passing when they lost.
Yeah, but he's got points on the field. That's why. It's not about yards. It's about points.
Look, I'm with Will here.
See,
I think they
what a
should lock him
jackass.
up long term. Like he said, and I said this earlier, they have their head coach, Mike McCarthy. He's on a 5-year deal.
Right.
And you have your running back. They've talked about this from start, that they wanted to marry Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott's careers together. They wanted them to progress together, to win together, to have success together. And now you have a head coach, as Will alluded to. Like, this is a situation that Mike McCarthy is going into that everything is really in place.
Right. He looked at everything in the league.
Everything is really in place. You have an understanding that you might have to franchise tag Amari Cooper to ensure that you still have a playmaker, a number 1 receiver on your roster to make sure your quarterback, who got substantially better because of that receiver, continues to grow.
Right.
I understand all of those things, but to lock him up long term gives you that flexibility to then now worry and concern yourselves with everything else around him, and you don't have to concern yourself with trying to find a quarterback in 2-3 years, or if you franchise tag a quarterback, we're in this same predicament next year,
The
next
situation
offseason.
is different. It's not like Brian Flores. He got the 5-year deal to revamp that entire organization. McCarthy's there to fix what's happening, pretty much. Like, we're ready to go. We felt like Jason Garrett was not the guy. We brought in Mike McCarthy because we feel like he can bring us to that extra level.
So, Will, do you think that let's say they lock up Dak, right?
Yeah.
Then, as Greg said, Amari Cooper, massive decision here, wide receiver.
Decision, right.
Do you want to pay him because he's going to want top dollar? You can't let him hit the market. You gave up a first-round pick for him.
Well, if you
Oh,
go
my
with the
God.
tag,
Oh, my
fortunately,
God.
this year in the draft is very receiver heavy. There's a lot of receivers coming out for this NFL draft, so you're able to find guys eventually. But you figure that out. But I believe yes, you definitely pay Dak long term, and then figure out where Amari Cooper.
Now, Rob has some issues with Dak Prescott in big games.
He has issues with a lot of people.
He does indeed. But I'll give you a chance. Like, defend Dak. Yeah, how he didn't
defend
show up
Dak.
in
Philadelphia, the
2-7.
biggest game of the year, was the division on the line in the
Okay.
playoffs. He didn't show up in that game against teams 500 or with a 500 or better record. The Cowboys were 2-7. Some of Dak's worst games were in those games. He'll beat up the also-rans and the bad teams, and he'll put up numbers against those teams.
As you should.
Right, you should. But you got to win some of those big games. And last year, for the first time since Dak and Ezekiel Elliott, everybody thought everything was in place once they got Ezekiel Elliott signed and that they had a chance to make it to the Super Bowl, and they don't even make the playoff.
And a lot of that, though, goes down to situation forward. So I'm training a kid right now to get ready for the draft, and I told him that everybody's fast. Everybody's strong in the NFL. The biggest difference is situational. That's why New England wins pretty much every year, because they have a situational master with Coach Belichick. And I feel like a lot of times last year, when you lose close games, it comes down to just situations. Like, you go back to the Philly game where Amari Cooper was not on the field.
Yes.
It's like, why wasn't he on the field? Like, he is with me. Everyone, all hands on deck. Call a timeout. Figure it out. You know, that's where it comes down to. And I felt like with Dallas, because they have enough pieces where they should have easily won a division this year, you look at the head man, because at the end of the day, that's where it comes down to. You look at Cleveland, too. You know, on paper, they look great, but what did it come down to? Situations. And that's the head coach.
And in this sport, in football, you can't just put all the blame on one individual. I know we love to do that, and we get excited when quarterbacks make tons of plays, and we say they won the game for a team, or they don't perform up to standard, and we say they lost the game. But the reality is, you can't win without a team. I don't care how great Aaron Rodgers is, his success is dependent upon everyone else. I don't care how great an individual is on a football roster. Their success is dependent on the other 10 guys that are going to take that field with them. They may put up great statistical individual numbers, but as a team, it only equates to wins if everyone is doing what it takes to win in their job and beating their opponent.
But you have no problem sitting over there talking about giving Patrick Mahomes all the credit for Kansas City.
Lordy. Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and of course Joe Bear. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods here. Let's wake up. You know what? It's funny because Miss Anita, Miss Jackie, Philip Ebarb, my man Jet, Philly 76. You know, so many of us have gotten so worked up listening to people talking about our quarterback. Dak is trash. He's a bum. Get rid of him. We're never going to win anything with Dak, you know. He didn't win against the Eagles in that second game. He was garbage. And I kind of say, you know, as much as we like to think that every single play that a quarterback does is supposed to be 100%, that you would think that Pat Mahomes threw the perfect game in the Super Bowl because they won. Because that is the thing that people will go through. See, right now, people are saying, well, Dak is garbage because they were 8-8. Well, you know, there's a lot of guys that have losing seasons. Because people are going through the Aaron Rodgers, he's head and shoulders above Dak Prescott. And you know what? In Aaron Rodgers' career, he's got a Super Bowl. You know, he is the bad man and things and all that. I agree, because he's had longer to prove what his worth is. But with that being said, I believe it was like 2010 was the last time he won the Super Bowl. So if a quarterback is always perfect, a quarterback always elevates the players around them, that a franchise guy always is perfect, then how come Aaron Rodgers doesn't win the Super Bowl every year? Why has it been 10 years since he's won one? That's my question. Because you do realize he beat the Cowboys this year, made the playoffs and everything, you know, shout out to him. But you do realize that last year their team was 6-9-1. So this whole thing, well, Dak was 8-8, he's garbage. So wait. So is Aaron Rodgers garbage because his team was 6-9-1 last year? Is that your theory? Because quarterbacks will have good seasons and bad seasons. And I'll put it out there that Tony Romo only had 3 winning seasons. Tony Romo had so many 8-8s, 8-8, 8-8. If you're going to talk about somebody being average, well, the teams were average. And that's the bottom line, is teams are average. As much as you guys want to say, it's only about the quarterback. You need a quarterback to play really, really well. But a great quarterback alone doesn't do it. Peyton Manning, who played, 20 years? You can look at him and say he was the best quarterback in football statistically. You can look at Drew Brees. He's got more yards than anybody else. But these guys aren't winning the Super Bowl every single year. You're going to have ups and downs. And here's the thing that everybody now is on the Carson Wentz bandwagon. Dak didn't win. And I'm not making excuses, but I believe Dak ended up having a hurt shoulder. I could be wrong. Now, I got rotator problems with my shoulder right now. It's okay when I'm moving right in here, but if I go to grab something back behind me, that thing is like literally like somebody sticks a knife in me. I don't know how bad his shoulder was, but true, we didn't win that game. But I remember when we played them earlier in the season, I mean, I might be wrong, but this was the So my question, okay, and I'm not saying that all quarterbacks haven't had, we've had Tony Romo have 3 interceptions in the second half and lose games. We've seen Peyton Manning have bad games. We've seen Tom Brady have bad games. But the way we talk about Dak Prescott, that's the way, that clip I just, let me show it to you guys. Let me show it again to make sure that you guys seem to understand that. Okay, and I'm not trying to say that Carson Wentz is a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Even though he did have 17 or 18 fumbles, one behind Daniel Jones last year. But they don't talk about that. See, that's the crap that pisses me off with jackasses like this is they only sugarcoat it and talk about, Dak trash caught. I did this. I've been doing an experiment this week on Instagram. And what I've been doing is I've been trying to put facts out there. And it's amazing because people, they don't care what the facts are. They don't care. If you look at Dak Prescott 3 years ago, from where he is now, his yards, you could say he was a dink and dunk Dak. You could say that in 2017, even though he didn't have any receivers. We're not even going to use that. He's throwing 8.2 yards per completion. His numbers went up. Carson Wentz's have gone down. His TD percentages have gone up. Carson Wentz's have gone down. His yardage, dude, he threw for 1,200 yards more than than 2 years ago. 1,200 yards more. His QBR, better. His rating, better. And I'm not saying that he didn't have bad games, because he did. But to turn around and say Carson Wentz, who in all those categories got worse, to say that Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, I'm not so sure. Now, I pointed out, because as I was reading articles about Carson Wentz, they said, Carson Wentz, he's got the 9th most touchdown passes to start a career. And they're applauding him to him at 97. But here's the thing that's also interesting about it. Because, see, I got an answer for everything. I got an answer for everything. Because Dak Prescott is also tied with him on that. Right? 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 Okay, so I'm telling you, he's tied with Dak. And, of course, Eagle fans will come through, and I know Eagles for life, you're going to say, yeah, but Dak had 9 more games. Okay, true. Dak did have 9 more games to throw the same amount of touchdowns. But the reason why Dak had more games was because he could stay healthy and play. But here's another interesting thing. You're right. Dak Prescott had 9 more games. You know what's crazy? In those 9 games, Dak Prescott only has 1 more interception than Carson Wentz. So Dak had 9 more games that only had 1 more interception than Carson Wentz. I'll give you another one. Dak Prescott had 9 more games, and do you know that Carson Wentz has had 48 fumbles in his career? 16 more than Dak in 9 less games. So let's talk about this whole dynamic altogether. I mean, that's all I'm just saying, okay? I'm not saying that Dak is God, that Dak is the best quarterback. But to say he's garbage and throw him away, well, then you need to look around at some other people because they a little garbagey too. They a little garbagey too. And there is no quarterback that is perfect. And I know some guys have realized, Mark is, you can get him animated. You can make a name for yourself because you come out and say some crappy stuff about my quarterback. Now but I want to break down, before I go on to the next thing, I want to break down something because they'll say Dak Prescott couldn't win against winning teams this year, which is true. We had a problem. We had a problem with them. Take a look at Carson Wentz last year. Because if we say 8-8 for Dak Prescott this year, he's garbage, even though that's the worst season that we've had with him as far as record. We had 13-3. We had 9-7, and we had 10-6 and 8-8. Second most victories over the last 4 years. So here's the thing. You guys are flip-flopping. You're cherry-picking just this season and not looking at the whole body. So give me the whole picture, okay? But here's what's interesting, because I want to go through last year with Carson Wentz, because everybody up here, all you Eagle fans are coming at me, Dak is trash. He can't hold a candle to Carson Wentz. Well, he can't when it comes to fumbles. But I tell you what, it takes a hell of a lot for Dak Prescott to stay off the field. See, my quarterback, of course, he'll play hurt, and they'll trash him and say, well, he didn't show up. Your quarterback, well, he don't show up. He gets a bump on the head. He gets patted on the back. Oh my God, he is so courageous not to go back out there and not play with a concussion. If that had been Dak Prescott, they would have said he is a, you know what they would have said about him. But here's what's interesting. I want to go through here. Because if your whole thing is Dak Prescott couldn't beat any winning teams, then how we explained last year for Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz, they beat Indianapolis, which was a playoff team. They weren't in the first half of the season because they were 1-4. That's when he beat them. He lost to Tennessee, who was a playoff team, 26-23. He lost to Minnesota last year, 23-21. They beat the Giants, but everybody beat the Giants, so that was a team you're supposed to beat, right? They lost to the Panthers, that weren't a playoff team last year. They beat Jacksonville, which was not much better than the Giants. They lost to the Cowboys. They got destroyed by New Orleans, 48-7. They beat the Giants, they beat Washington, and they lost again, another L to the Cowboys. So if your thing is, well, Dak had one season where he didn't have a winning record. He was 5-6 last year, and it was only because Nick Foles came in and won the last 3 games that they made the playoffs. So explain that one to me. Like I said, I just want to be fair and balanced. I want to be fair and balanced. Okay? Just humor me. So shout out to everybody who's in here. Jeff, how you doing? Art, D Saturday, how you doing? Michael Reyes, Eagle fan for life. Only the delusional Cowboy fans believe Dak deserves that much. Listen, understand that right now, Detroit Lions allegedly may be trying to trade Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford got, I believe, $90 million guaranteed. $90 million. Was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry, there's no way, no how that you can convince me that Matthew Stafford was the best quarterback in football. But that's the way the market goes with the NFL. And understand, I could understand if quarterback compensation didn't go up if the salary cap stayed the same. You understand what I'm talking about? It's called a cost of living. What's amazing is somebody had posted on Instagram about I think 7 hedge managers that made like $12 billion collectively. But see, understand, when I went to junior high school, I remember our social studies teacher talking about having $1 million. If you had $1 million, you wouldn't be able to spend it all in your lifetime. That was a long time ago. Okay? That $1 million is chump change now. People's houses cost more than $1 million now. It's $1 billion now. And here's what happens. The salary cap goes up by, at least the last 7 years, even though we've had down years, it's still gone up, about 5% a year. That's the cost of living. It goes up every year. So if you look at when Kirk Cousins got paid 2 years ago, 10% more money is in there. $20 million more is in the cap. So the numbers are going to continue to rise. You really want to look at it as a percentage of what the cap is. Ideally, it'd be great if you could keep that around 15% for your quarterback. But it's a little bit north of that. And here's where it's going to be interesting because, see, Kansas City is holding up. They want to wait until the CBA is passed, and the CBA is being worked on right now. In fact, the players are going to be voting on it possibly next Thursday. It may be in effect before the 18th of March, which will end up being more money this year. JJ, I'm not saying pay Dak $60 million. See, and this is where you hear lies.
Who said $60 million?
Oh, this freaking, you know what? Keep it up. Keep it up. No. See, that's where this is where bullshit comes in.
$60 million?
This is where bullshit comes in. See, first of all, Dak never asked for $40 million.
Yeah, but
And understand the campaign. The Dallas Cowboys, they aren't multi-billionaires for nothing. They don't give shit away. They don't. This is the same campaign they do to everybody to belittle him. To belittle everybody, they want to say, oh, those players are greedy. They're not team, they're not team guys. We want to surround them with people. You got $77 million, fifth most in the NFL. The reason you have that is because you haven't paid a quarterback. Because you haven't paid a quarterback, that's why that money is there. That was the money that Dak Prescott saved you. That is the reason why the Cowboys are in the position that they're in. Am I wrong? Am I lying? Am I lying? Oh, okay. You know what? See, Tom Thomas, jackass. Okay. You know what? Let's do this. See, I'm feeling it tonight. I want to. Let me see. Where is it? Let me see. You know what? I try to behave. I try to be good. But see, I want you to look at this.
Hits on Prescott. Fake it to
Turn the sound down. I just want you to take a look at this. And you tell me, is this dink and dunk? This is every touchdown for the Dallas Cowboys this season. Every touchdown. What I want you to notice is on most of these touchdown passes, a few of them, the guys are wide open. A few of them are wide open, but I got to tell you, in fact, let me back this one up because that one is pretty. Wait. I want you to look at my man, Amari. Wait. Where was that? How much space was in there? Look, how much separation? How much separation? Look, let me move the camera out the way to make sure that you can see it. How much space is there to get that ball in there? How much? And did you see where that ball landed? Look at that. He didn't even have to stretch. You know what? He didn't even have to stretch his hands out. That ball was right there, dead on the money. And anybody that says that there's an accuracy problem is just a flat-out lying asshole. And that's right, I called you a lying asshole. Shall I go on? Play action. Bam. Finds the man that's open. Bam. And you get Zeke running one. Boom. Play action. Loads up. That's a dink and dunk, ain't it? Now, was that off? Was that off? Nobody has perfect passes every time, my man, Michael. And again, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me make it easy for you. If you don't like what I'm saying, it's cool. There are plenty of places you can take your happy ass to. You don't have to be here. You know what you're going to get here. That's my quarterback. I'm going to be here for my quarterback because I'm going to tell you, if you think that there's a quarterback out, I challenge you. Bring me a quarterback that you tell me is perfect, and I will pick the crap out of them and show you how many bad passes that they are. And I never said that that's it every time. But here's the thing. He had 30 of them over there. How many did Aaron Rodgers have last year? How many did some of the other guys that you guys say are so much better? Now, I say Tom Brady had the best defense in football. You know how many touchdown passes he threw against the Titans? 0. It happens. It happens. Let's go on a little longer. Let's continue this. Boom. Hits the man. Finds the man open. D Saturday Fright, no space at all. Thank you very much for that super chat. Boom. Runs it in without getting hurt. Tony Pollard, a guy we need to play more this year. So, under pressure, boom, finds Amari Cooper. So I'm not saying he's perfect, but I tell you what, again, right over the shoulder, perfect shot. I just love how, see, and the thing is, I get it. There's some good games and some bad games. There's some good games and some bad games. But the way you guys talk, you would think that he's fumbling the end of the games and that's why we're losing. That he's throwing pick after pick and we're losing. That he has never made a touchdown pass in his life. Boom, there he goes, run it in. Well, I tell you what, Brad Wright, who's wrong. What you want to bet? What you want to bet that Dak Prescott signs his long-term deal here? I'll bet with you. What you gonna put up? What you gonna put up? Okay, I'm gonna put you on blast. Why isn't Dak re-signed yet? Probably the same reason that Zeke Elliott wasn't signed till the last week of training camp. Probably the same reason that DeMarcus Lawrence had to say, I'm not getting my shoulder worked on and missed the whole offseason. Probably the same reason that Emmitt Smith had to hold out the first games of a season. Probably because Jerry Jones loves the freaking limelight. He loves everyone out there talking about it, waiting for him to make a move, hinging on his every word and everything that he does. Because you know what it does for the Dallas Cowboys? When everybody talks about the Dallas Cowboys, it's not about doing the right thing. It's about making money, and they are literally printing money in Dallas. That's why the Dallas Cowboys, even though they're not in the playoffs or anywhere near the Super Bowl, can be more talked about than the two teams that are playing. Jerry knows what he's doing. And that's why I ain't in no rush. I don't need to win. I'll get it done when I feel like getting it done, because I am the daddy, so to speak. And you know what? Since you guys, I know that you guys are just turning it off. How about this one? Let's do this one. Because we know that Dak is the only guy ever to have a bad game. Let me see if I can find out. Where I can't find. Let's see. Well, here's one of those clips, though. Here's one of them. I'm not going to show the whole game thing, but this was the third TD of a 48 to 7 ass whipping. We can get past the commercials here. 48 to 7 ass whipping of Carson Wentz. If they can ever get past the commercial. Damn, it's a long commercial. Damn. Sorry, I didn't think I was going to have to go there with this. Cut Dak and get Romo back. Okay. Let's see if they're going to show the interception. Okay. Oh, come on now. Okay. This is the kind of stuff Carson Wentz. Now, this wasn't the really bad ones, but this was the third one. 3 interceptions when they played New Orleans. I know we didn't score a whole lot against New Orleans. Okay, I know we only scored 10. They only scored 7 points right there. 7. So don't get out here and tell me that, oh, well, Dak had a bad game, so he's a bum. Get him out. Get rid of him. Come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah, anyway, let's move right along because we got more stuff here to cover. Like I said, if you don't like what I'm cooking here, feel free to go to another YouTube restaurant, okay? But Dak has more running TDs than Wentz. Oh, well, Junior, okay, see, this is one of those things that I was talking about. I was trying to get off of Dak Prescott. Here's the amazing thing. In the history of the NFL, there's only 4 quarterbacks that have ever thrown for over 15,000 yards in the first 4 years. Dan Marino's first, followed by Peyton Manning, and Dak Prescott is third. And the Cowboys are a running team. Here's another one. I told you guys, Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz are both ninth in the NFL in passing TDs to start a career. Both of them have 97. Wow. OGR Sports, thank you very much for that huge super chat. Love what you do, Mark. All that's being said, I don't think players come to agreement on CBA anytime soon. Well, you know what? I'm going to get to that. But one more thing before I get there. If you take Dak's 97 passing TDs and his 21 rushing TDs, he is third in touchdowns to start a career. Behind Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Dak Prescott. Now, I don't care how you put that. I don't care if you say it's garbage time or whatever. If it's just garbage time, there's plenty of quarterbacks that are playing a lot of time in garbage. How come they're not beyond that? I'll put it there. So, with your question about the CBA, here's the interesting thing on the CBA. In the CBA, you got to understand the owners got what they wanted the last time, because what they did is they reduced practice for the players. The players looked back and said, you know what, we got screwed on this contract, because basically we just reduced the offseason for the players. We said you're getting 48% of the money and everything else. That sounded all real good. But in the end, they realized this wasn't quite as good as we thought. And so they look at it differently this year. Now, the owners want that 17-game schedule. That's the only thing that the players are saying we don't want. Now, understand, if things were going bad, the other teams, the players would be, Players Association would be saying, the owners are unfair. They're, we're not getting a good deal. It's just bad. They're not negotiating in fair, response. You would be hearing that. You'd be hearing the owners would say if the players weren't doing what they wanted. You'd be hearing the owners basically trying to get the court of public opinion on their side and say the players, they're greedy. They don't want to work with us and stuff. The league won't be able to make. Nobody's talking. And you get just little bits and pieces. Now, here's what happened. While we were at the Super Bowl, the Players Association got the NFL owners' proposal on that Thursday before the Super Bowl. I was at the NFLPA's party. I was blessed to be there. Jose Guzman, thank you for loving the show. Thank you very, very much. And while I was at the PA, I talked to a couple guys that I know are players, reps on some teams, okay? And they were like, man, this thing is dead on arrival. That's what one of them told me, is that no way in the world we're going to do 17 games. But the amazing thing was, at that party, Winston, who's the big offensive lineman, he's the head of the Players Association, the player side, DeMar Smith, were there together with Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft was at the Players Association party with DeMar Smith and Winston the day that they presented the proposal to the players. Now, here's the thing. Players don't want 17 games. But they kind of like not having 2 more preseason games. They kind of like this tad bit of, we won't be tested for weed anymore. Stephen A. Smith won't be able to say you can't stay off the weed any longer. Those fines that we give you for wearing the wrong color socks and having shoes that aren't the right, colors and everything else? Don't worry about that. We're going to take away some more of the practice from you guys, too. We're going to add another playoff team into the situation. But we're also going to give you more money, more money, more money. So what was told that was going to be dead on arrival apparently wasn't that crazy that Robert Kraft wasn't at the party. They had set up for last Thursday a players meeting with each team's representative. They need 2/3 of those guys to say, okay, we like that, to go to a vote to the players. They didn't vote last week. What they did was they had a conference call with as many players that wanted to talk to get everybody's opinion. They announced that yesterday. Now today, next Thursday, it looks like they're going to vote on it. So that means that it looks like you got 2/3 of the Players Association reps, and now it's going to a vote for the players. This thing may be in place before the league year starts, and that's what the NFL wants. And the thing about it for the Cowboys is you now look at the salary cap going up even more this year. So as you look at $77 million, I think it's going to end up being about 86 because I think Tyrone Crawford's gone. You're probably looking at another $10 million on this year's cap. So now you're looking at about $96 to $100 million of cap space that the Cowboys have. There's your solution as far as and Brad, I'm waiting for you. Are you betting? Are you betting, Brad? Brad, I want you to show me the statue of Carson Wentz in front of your stadium. How about that? Because it seems like if they feel that Carson Wentz was as responsible as Nick Foles was for that Super Bowl, they would have Carson Wentz and Nick Foles statues together, wouldn't they? Wouldn't they have those together? And by the way, apparently they give those rings out in Philadelphia because Ron Jaworski had that Super Bowl ring too. And I'm not sure that Ron Jaworski was on that team. He was on the Eagles team, but he wasn't playing in that Super Bowl, was he? Was he? Or did I miss that? Did I miss that? Because I don't know that because your Eagles can say, oh, we were in the playoffs the last 3 years. It wasn't because of Carson Wentz last year, who was 5-6. It was because Nick Foles came in, won 3 games down the stretch. And explain to me, my man, please explain to me. I just love that clip. I'm sorry. I just love that one. But here's the thing. All right. Moving right along. So that's where we stand with the Players Associations, okay? I think it's going to pass. And the problem for the Cowboys is going to be this. You sitting here worried about, when you hear Parker talking about, they should franchise tag him this year and then franchise tag him next year. It's like, wait a minute. If you do that, because what's going to happen immediately once that franchise tag, that deal is signed, they're going to get Pat Mahomes. Deshaun Watson's going to get his. You're going to be up to probably about 35 for that franchise tag for next year. If you do it for 2 years, then you're going to pay $120 million. 120% of that 35. So you're now talking about spending about $78 million for 2 years for Dak, and probably have a guy who'll say, screw you and walk away. How is spending $78 million for 2 years with no guarantee of him doing anything and being a hard number for 2 years? Let's make that point straight too. So the money that you've been saving, you spend in 2 years. If you go ahead and sign Dak, and this would be my thing, is you sign Dak, you're going to reduce that hard number that's going to be $33 to $35 million to about 25. And now you use the franchise tag on Amari Cooper. Whether you say Dak is the guy or not, the one thing you can say about Dak Prescott is he plays. He doesn't miss time. Amari Cooper, you can look at and say there's questions on whether or not he stays healthy. But when he plays, one of the best ones in football. So you put the franchise tag on him. Now you're only paying him about $17 million. Oh. And you can then use, if you decide that Byron Jones is a guy we want to hold on to, use the transition tag on him. Now you got him for dirt cheap for another year, or you let him go, get traded, and get something for him. To me, that is the best of all worlds. This thing of, just let him walk, how you going to have a franchise quarterback and let him walk? That ain't going to happen. Let's trade him. The last time a young quarterback was traded was Jay Cutler from Denver to Chicago. That's not going to happen. The Redskins couldn't do that with Kirk Cousins, even though Kirk Cousins walked and ended up getting a boatload of money. What happened to them screwed them up. And they're still looking for a quarterback. And the way you got to look at this team right now is my offensive line, Tyron Smith, how much longer do I have that guy? Zach Martin, you got him for plenty more time. Travis Frederick, we believe we got him. But you know your tackle is going to be gone. And running backs, sorry. Zeke already looks like he's slowed down a little bit. You can't look and say, I'm going to draft a quarterback and I'm going to wait a year or two for him to get there. By that time, your running back's gone, your tackle's gone. It's wasting too much time. See, my thing is you look at this now because you still, I think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to play better next year. I just hope he just shuts his mouth and gets on the field. I think changing a philosophy on this defense is going to be better for him. You're going to see a defense that's more aggressive, that's going to have the linebackers playing downhill, in which case you get more takeaways, which is key. I know you guys want to say that Tom Brady is better than Dak Prescott, but you know, our leading interceptor had 2 interceptions. New England had 20 more takeaways. 20 more takeaways than the Cowboys. If there is no bigger stat than takeaways leading to victories, it just isn't. You turn over the ball, you're going to lose 9 times out of 10. Breaking news, Wentz out for the 2020 season, injured for sneezing too hard. That's a good one. So, in other news, I can't believe this, but Josh Norman, you know, my quarterback, literally threw him on the ground. Actually, a nice guy off the field. I hate to say that, but he's a nice guy. Does a lot of work in the community. Has been let go by the Washington Redskins. Don't feel bad about Josh because, what?
The head coach was his coach in
Ron Rivera, right.
And they had bad blood. Oh.
But don't feel bad for him because I was looking it up. Do you know how much money the Redskins paid Josh Norman over those 4 years? As we worry about paying Dak Prescott, he made $61 million. $61 million by the Redskins. Oh, my God. Here's the thing. See, Robert, I'm not going to try and make you feel stupid. But understand, Phillip Rivers has been cut by the Chargers. You don't have to trade for him. He's a free agent. He's free to sign with anybody. So to say we should trade Dak for Phillip Rivers, you don't have to trade Dak for Phillip Rivers. You could sign Phillip Rivers, and you could franchise tag Dak and try and trade that franchise tag. And that's the thing that always amazes me. Oh, just trade Dak. He's not under contract. You have to sign him to a franchise tag and hope that somebody else will take that franchise tag from number. You understand what I'm saying? And Phillip Rivers, this is where it's ridiculous. Phillip Rivers is a guy who's got a lot of numbers. But Phillip Rivers is that old quarterback that is a statue that's in the pocket that it's just not going to do it. Quarterbacks have evolved. Look at your top quarterbacks. Your Russell Wilsons. I can move around the pocket. I can run if I need to. Lamar Jackson. I can definitely move around the pocket, and I can pass. Your Kyler Murrays. I can move around the pocket. I can run around. You're seeing an evolution in quarterbacks of guys that aren't just pocket passers. They're guys that you have to worry about with run-pass options. And to think that, we're going to win a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers. What has Phillip Rivers won? And he's old. And now you're going to try and teach an old dog new tricks in another offense. Yes, sign Rivers. As a Giant fan, I would feel, okay, I'm going to take what a Giant fan would tell us to do. Yeah, because you guys definitely know what to do. Rivers makes some of the dumbest throws. I like that star. Let me make sure I pop that in here. Oh, Stephen Gold. No, see, Stephen, here's the thing that's funny. See, I'm not saying tell me what's wrong with take $35 million? $35 million, 5-year deal. When the salary cap is going to literally go. Here's the thing that's funny. When Kirk Cousins just 2 years ago, signed a fully guaranteed contract for $28 million. Everybody was like, Kirk Cousins is not worth that kind of money. And I agree with you. Kirk Cousins is not worth that kind of money. $28 million. Highest paid in the NFL. Right? You look at that today, 2 years later, how's it look now? Because he was highest paid at 28. Right now, it's $7 million more before the next guy gets paid. If Pat Mahomes gets paid, it's going to be about $12 million more just 2 years later. So if Dak signs right now for $35 million, and we know that they're going to sign the CBA, which is going to be about another $15 million on top of about the 10 that it's already been going, along with the money that's going to be coming from gambling. You know, you're talking about Dan Snyder's talking about having slots in the new stadium. You know, Jerry Jones is actually partnering up and building a casino in Arkansas. You know, the Raiders are moving to Vegas. That is more money that is going in there and going to the cap. And the television contract is about to be re-signed. I guarantee you, I will bet today, right now, with anybody out there, that in 2 years, the salary cap will be $250 million. Bet you. Count on it. It'll be there. And when we look at this $35 million that Dak's probably going to get, or $34 million, it's going to be chump change in a couple years. And I'm not saying that, pay him the sun and the moon and all that. The reality is, if you franchise, here's the reality. If you franchise tag Dak this year, okay? If you franchise tag Dak this year, it's going to cost you more money than if you get him a deal. Straight up, it's going to cost you $10 million minimum more on the cap because it's going to be a hard number. Which means then you have to either let Amari Cooper go or pay him a long-term deal, which I think might be a bad idea. Oh, of course, there's people out there saying we should go ahead and trade for Stephon Diggs, whose numbers are a little bit below Amari Cooper's, even though Amari Cooper was injured a lot last year. But here's the thing, and this is where it doesn't make sense to me. Stephon Diggs, $11.5 million, right? He's got 2 years left on the deal. You're going to trade for him. You could look at it and say he's about where Amari Cooper was when you traded for him and gave up a number one, right? What are you going to have to give up to get Stephon Diggs? I don't know that they'll settle for a second. Do you think they're going to settle for a second? I think they'll be looking for a first. So you take a first-round draft pick to get a wide receiver to replace a guy that all you have to do is pay about $7 million more? Because I look at it like this. My offense did enough with the guys that I have. If my defense and my special team had done their part, we would have been 13-3. Am I wrong? If our defense had been more New England-like and gave up a few less points, if our special teams had kicked a few more field goals, if our players hadn't dropped so many passes, all these things would have elevated. If our coaching staff wasn't so damn predictable and running Zeke up the middle on so many damn games and stopped using play-action passing, we probably would have won a few more games. I think I would rather take my first-round pick, number 17, and get the meanest, toughest, one technique defensive tackle that's going to make a quarterback piss down his leg. Because what killed us last year more than anything else was the teams had ability to run up the middle. Film Bay. I'm sorry, I don't know. Who are you? I've never seen you before. All right, what about getting Ronald Darby? How about this? How about you just go ahead and sign Dak? Do like you did with D-Law, because you paid D-Law a whole bunch of money, but at least what you did with D-Law is you got it out in 2 years. And technically what you did with D-Law, as much as we look at the number, is basically you already franchise tagged him. So that really was 1 year of the money you paid him. So you really put 2 years on there. So this year, next year, after that, you can walk away with no dead money. Zeke Elliott, 3 more years, you can do the same thing with him. How about you end up signing a deal that's similar to that and say you've got an out in 4 years with Dak Prescott? Wentz is unbreakable. It's just Maul. Who the hell are you, Maul? And that's what I'm saying, 35. And that's not unreasonable because that's the going rate of quarterbacks. You're not going to see quarterbacks going downhill. Hell, Jacoby Brissett was 27 this year. Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was 27. I know I'm speaking to a brick wall. I know that some of you guys, no matter what you say, it's not going to matter. And you're going to figure that the grass is always greener. What's up, Jet? It's always greener on the other side of Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott sucks. Now, we got other issues to deal with, and the question being is Mari Cooper, do you keep him or do you let him go? Again, I say you franchise tag him. You already gave up a number 1 for that guy. You need to make sure that you got everything you can get out of that number 1. And if you franchise tag him, it's only $17 million, in which case you're only talking about $6 million more. Excuse me. $5.5 million more than giving up another pick to take on Stephon Diggs. And you only have to worry about 1 more year. Just saying. Just saying. And if you got Dak locked up and it's only a $25 million cap hit because it's a long-term deal, you got space to sign Byron Jones or put a franchise tag on him or sign other people. And you want to go ahead and take that draft that we have coming up, and you want to go for defensive line first. You want to go for a ball-hawking safety second. You want to go for a cornerback in the third. And I say a tight end in the fourth. That's just me. That's just me. I think that way you got your offense together. You got cohesion because Amari Cooper knows your system, and he's got a repertoire with Dak Prescott. They work good together. Now you got 3 young studs on your defense to input, and you still have money that you say, you know what, I want to go ahead and get another guy in free agency or 2. You've got money to work with, and that's what we have to look at for the Dallas Cowboys all the way around. And I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that I wanted to hit on here before. We got Stephon Diggs. We got my quarterback, Dak Prescott, doing his thing. We got Josh Norman out of here. We talked about Byron Jones. And we talked about my quarterback. Mr. Morgan, thank you very much for that super chat. And here's what we's going to do, too. All right. So the super chats I've been getting between working in my workshop and everything else, every super chat that we've gotten since I've been back from the Super Bowl, what we's going to do is we going to go ahead. I got another one of these. Check this out. Look at this. Check this out. For the 100th anniversary, these NFL statues. Aren't these pretty? What? I bought 2 of them. This is one of them. So I got him right here on the desk. What we going to do is we're going to take the other bronze one right here. And we're going to give this away probably next Friday. Okay? All right? And we're also going to be doing some giveaways with the shot glass racks. Everybody who ordered one, there's 2 on the way to Hawaii. Mike J, I know yours is out of here. Miss Jackie, I got to show you the Silver Edge. My buddy who's got the Silver Edge, yours is going out tomorrow. I got a special surprise for my people, Susie and Fernando, who got me Joe Bear up here. So you need that, Mark? Well, you need this right here. You need that right there. Isn't it pretty? It's actually pretty heavy. This is actually really bronze, and I'm amazed by it. And of course, it's got the 100, so it's like, this is celebrating the 100 years. Funny thing is, I've been around for more than half of those. That's how old I am. Damn. Byron to safety getting Ronald Darby. No, Byron Jones is not a safety. We did that experience before. Byron Jones is too, I don't want to say soft, but he's not aggressive enough. And that's my biggest thing with him is he's very passive. And a lot of that was the defensive philosophy that we're not going to take too many risks. We're going to go ahead and just, bend, don't break. But with that, you don't get the takeaways that you would with another by you know what I'm saying, guys. You don't get the takeaways. But I got to do this one more time, though. I got to do it one more time. Why aren't you playing? Play. Carson, why aren't you playing? Wait a minute. What the heck? All right, so I need everybody. Oops, whoops, wrong one. Wrong one, damn. My stuff is messing up on me tonight. All right, everybody. I hope you took care of your lady for Valentine's Day, okay? In fact, I don't know why you up in here. Now, I took my lady out for a nice Valentine's dinner. Well, actually, it was a late lunch. What is between, what do you call lunch, dinner? What do you call that? When you have, we have brunch when it's between breakfast and lunch. What's lunch, dinner, in between? I think my wife said it's supper, but it's like, I thought that was just dinner. But anyway, make sure you take care of mama. Make sure you have to take care of your woman. Because remember, you got to sleep with her. You don't want to sleep with one eye open, but for all you great fans that have become members, all you great fans that have done super chats, all you great fans that come in here and listen to me whine about the Dallas Cowboys, this shot is for you. And even you trolls that love to just come in here and hate and hate and hate and hate. Here you go. To football, the greatest sports in the world. And it's amazing how, even though it's the off season, we still got a lot to talk about. All right, guys, that's it. It's time for me to go spend some time with my Valentine. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. And it's time to turn off the lights, because it's Valentine's Day. What the what?
The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.